Okay, hello and welcome to something a little bit different. We are now in week 3 of PUPL. I've played 3 times, and before the start of PUPL, I'd been like recording and putting stuff up just a tiny bit, and I kind of just had the idea like maybe it would be cool to just share like teams and building processes and stuff because usually that's left for the very end of the tour. Um, but I really don't like doing that. I don't like dumping everything at the end. It feels too late. A lot of stuff tends to be like outdated or whatever. It also just kind of sucks to make a post or whatever at the very end. And I thought just breaking it up into smaller, more manageable chunks might be kind of cool for the video type of stuff that I just personally have more fun doing. Like, a lot of it's just about like what I enjoy, to be honest. And I don't think there's anything in my first 3 weeks that I'd really want to save. I'm not going to post anything that like PTF, Dougsa, TKO, any of those people have used that's like come from me or whatever. But I'm going to talk about my first 3 weeks. Um, I've got the teams. I'm going to go through those. I've got the replays as well. Just going to kind of give some thoughts and stuff. And I think just for me, like this is personally enjoyable, and I think people might find it interesting. Um, Standard disclaimers: my setup is not very professional. I am not trying very hard to make this super professional. If the sound quality sucks or whatever, I apologize. I've tested it just briefly to make sure, like, I think this will be listenable. Um, it's just more about what I'm actually doing, and I like kind of going through the thoughts and stuff because I tend to look back and criticize and really work on myself. Not just in this, like I'll watch my own chess replays or smash replays, whatever. I think it's a really big way to improve. So, week 1 versus Mr. Drudd. I just realized I have that replay out of order. This team took me a lot of time to come up with. I built several teams in the dead week that we had for PRs. Didn't like him. I ended up making this like Thursday of the week itself. I just had to trash all of those. Um, I had to recenter, I think, around a more consistent and solid team style, which is just um, clear, evident breakers. This one with some sweeping potential. Not this one, because I really didn't feel like Trailblaze was being useful. It just wasn't sweeping at all. Um, and then just pairing them with 2 solid pivots and some spikes and a bit of utility. That's it. Just, I wanted to go back to something very, very simple. The only things I think are not simple here are the sets, or have a little bit just like substandardness. Um, but I think the lesson that I took away here is that a team needs to have a much more solid direction. The stuff I'd been making before had clear balance scores, had things that were like in theory supposed to work, and nothing was coming together until I made like just a very coherent plan of here are some breakers. I know what pivots I want to put. I know they're going to work well with spikes, and that made the team cohere a lot better than just like a basic balance score. Like I do think you can get away with some balance scores. Like if we look at what Sufi's used versus me just today, it's not hard to use a very basic balance score. I was trying to stretch a little bit outside of these guys, which is not to say there's not innovative stuff here, but I was trying to stretch myself a little bit, and that wasn't working until I really found a direction for the team to go. So, the Decidueye definitely got memed on in the Pew Discord or whatever. I like it. I think it's great. Low kick covers a lot. It's very fun. Terra Dark Sucker Punch covers a lot. Very fun. Um, just makes it a stronger priority sweeper and hits Ambipom Meloetta and Terra Normal Toxtricity, things that regular Sneak does not do. Um, as more and more I'm seeing just like random Terra Normals come out, I think this set has some utility. Obviously, it's trading off that Sucker Punch is not nearly as reliable, but it covers some stuff that you can't otherwise do. And then Colbur Berry's just good. Like, Spell Tag is good, sure, but Colbur Berry's also fine. Like, it genuinely does live some annoying dark hits. I think the weird part is the fact that it's Leaf Blade low kick. It's not got a ghost move at all. That's very substandard. I think for this team it works. I was never really having an issue with it. Everything else likes to just like knock, pivot, and annoy Glowbro, and they do not predict Sucker Punch. A Glowbro doesn't come in. Anyway. Like, it's not gonna start slacking off. It's gonna think I have Spirit Shackle, or at least Shadow Sneak, you know? So Sucker Punch still worked in those emergency scenarios. Anyway, I like it. But I do think it goes well with Heracross. Low Kick can lure Woshin before it has a chance to Terra Poison or whatever. And Heracross can own Houndstone with Earthquake, which definitely helps the non-ghost move Decidueye. That's kind of the other thing you're missing out on, as well as Glowbros. Terra Ground Earthquake, I think it works. It's not exceptionally like better or different than the other sets. You know, Terra Rock, Trailblaze, whatever. All that would be fine here. It's really just the core of these together. I think made a pretty reasonable team, and then the rest is just I got a Milotic, I got a Sandslash, I got a Skuntank, I got a Kilowattrel. I will say I did not want to reveal anything speed creep wise. That's the one thing I was like, maybe I want to run 52 speed Milotic in the future or whatever. So this is not the actual speed I ran. This is not the actual speed I ran. Those are different. Not gonna share that. Everything else here I think is pretty safe. Like I didn't reveal I was Tear Ground Earthquake in the game, but I don't think that's something crazy that's gonna come to bite me in future weeks or whatever. But yeah, you know, the Fat Inteleon check brings the spikes. Didn't even bother with rocks on this team. I was like, it's fine. I want spikes more. Skunk Explosion is just a fun tech to annoy. I don't even remember this, but just certain random fat things. I didn't have a super consistent reason. Taunt probably would have been fine. I think I just liked Explosion at the time, and I still do. And then Inteleon's still a problem, and any Scarfer, the need to lock in on this team kind of would have been a problem. It's very much an offensive momentum kind of team. So I ended up being okay with Kilowattrel, which does leave the team slower. Like any decent Scarfer is outspeeding everything. But I think between the priority I've got, the helmet, like it kind of works. Um, like this is a team where there are clear flaws. There are things that would be very annoying to fight, but it has its game plan that I think it is good at executing on. I think it's good at trying to get in those spikes. The breakers are good at what they do. And I think even though I accepted some weaknesses and problems, it makes a convincing counter argument. Um, which to me is important. That's really what helped me with the first week. Oops. I got the game here. I'm going to switch viewpoints because I'm me. And Grud brought a very fat team. My assumption going in was that the Florges would be Scarf and that the Wet Bull would be Choice Band, because that just seemed like a reasonable way to have some braking and pressure here. Heracross looks awesome. There's a reason I still like to run Facade. I've been seeing some Heracrosses drop it. It's just like, it's such a good neutral move to click so much of the time. Um, and that was kind of a big thought, that I just wanted to abuse Heracross as much as possible. And that Florges knows I have no fairy resist. It's just Spit F Milotic, which I would not want to get tricked. I'm gonna have to work around that. That was the other thing. Like, this team has definitely made some compromises defensively. So, I'm gonna review my plays, see if I remember anything pretty big. I did lead Skunk expecting Rotom. Rotom Heat is annoying. I forgot to, yeah. It took me a sec to remember from lead. Oh yeah, the other thing was Rotom Heat, very annoying for this team because it outspeeds Heracross, 295 to 298. I don't like that. I like Heracross being faster than as much as possible. That's really the problem. It's not so much defensively. I've fought Rotoms and I've always been able to like pivot around, recover on the Volt Switch, whatever it is, even boot stuff. Like I've made it work. The annoying thing is that's like a much more offensively aggressive check to Heracross. I'm not as afraid of switching into Florges. The other cool thing is Sucker Punch can really catch them off guard because they are kind of bulky enough to just get some sneak calcs that are annoying that Sucker Punch is not going to run into. Anyway, remembering that, pretty basic start. Toss out a knock, go Heracross because it's very safe. Something's getting chunked. Facade very free here. Look, that just boom 43. Red card's annoying though, means I don't just get to immediately knock off or something. Wasn't expecting that, but I'm gonna pivot Sand Slash. I do want spikes or a spin as soon as possible. Um, the Heracross can really just it can take some chip for his Gastron. It's fine. I get some breaking chances. Um, Crit means I don't get the chance to lure this with Earthquake. I was definitely hoping to Earthquake afterwards as he tries to like live another hit, but I get a kill. It's not a big deal. I don't think the crit was as helpful as might have seemed, and Skunk is here to make things take a ton of recoil. Look at it go. He's under 50 just for killing my 43% Skunk. You love to see it. And Flip Turn Milotic, absolutely doing its job. Like that's what it's here for. I don't go Breaker this time. I really want the spin instead because I know a healthy Decidueye can do so much here, and even the rocks damage will matter. And I love that he tries to go Rotom because I do need the damage on Rotom. I'm more than happy to let Sandslash die just to chip this. And he ends up being like the worst possible set, which is NP split stuff. And I still get to put this down to 50%, 7%. I'm happy. You know, I just needed him low. He comes in, you want to Volt on Milotic? Fine. I just needed you low. See, like the damage. Um, damage definitely matters there. So I do want to be careful about pivoting in any of these other guys. If they take a hit from Glowbro, it can do a lot. And I would also like a burn. It could potentially help with some calcs later. Not gonna get it, but it's not like he can do that much to me, so it's not a huge deal. I do remember afterwards thinking I probably could have played this part more aggressively and just switched out earlier on the Slowbro. Just longer, spending longer in here means longer for something to go wrong, and I do end up leaving Milotic a little bit low on health, but I think it worked out. Um, Kilo's generally like okay at just hitting the Slowbro, and then I was expecting to have to pivot out after a Calm Mind, go back to Milotic, but he wanted to Psyshock for damage, which is fine. I don't need Kilo healthy, even if it's in Aqua Jet range now. And I go Heracross just because I don't want to go Milotic immediately get tricked. I know if I go Heracross, he's just going to go for a safe Moonblast. Then I can go Milotic and recover, should be fine. And this is where everything comes together. I'm pretty certain he's banded, so if he wants to threaten me with Tauros, this is where Decidueye gets to go in. And I know I have the set. Like, this would not work if I was not the proper Decidueye. And I will say for Sandslash, I didn't totally get why he was... I guess I should play the next, just for context, right? I'm faster. I OHKO with low kick. Low kick's a great move, and people are haters. Um, but assuming it's just like a basic defensive, unless I'm mistaken, I remember like checking in the game, like not Spirit Jackal, Poltergeist, the good move, like a regular Decidueye, not even needing to Terra Ghost, would OHKO the slash anyway. So I don't think low kick really made a difference here at all. Um, and then this is where things got confusing because he goes Tauros. I immediately assume like I guess he's choice banded Lash Out, and he thinks I'm not Colbur, or he's not thinking about Colbur, or he just wants damage to guaranteed put me in Rotom range after a Terra Ghost. I wasn't really sure. By the way, I do basically just have to kill the Tauros, and then if I do, if I can play around Trick, Milotic might be able to win. In fact, if I get Heracross tricked, it would kind of win. It ends up being Terra Blast, not Lash Out, which is pretty cool. I think he said it was for beating Fluffy Houndstone. And then here's where Sneak did not kill. Terra Ghost, Shadow Sneak, not killing Rotom there. Mm-mm. That's why this Decidueye is kinda cool. And that's basically what clinches the game for me. Because even if it's 2-on-2, the only way he's beating this Milotic is somehow getting a trick off. And that's really tough. And even then, I still got a Heracross. And then after he stays in like that, like, yeah, this is just not good for him. Um, I'm just gonna kind of skip through the rest of the game. We're just doing like some Scald Haze stuff. And I Scald on a turn where he thinks I'm gonna recover because I'm just trying to catch the floor. Just like I can potentially lose if Milotic gets tricked. He can kind of get to a 50-50, but it's not gonna happen. I was very happy with this overall. Came very close. I think I played it pretty well. Not perfectly, but I knew what my outs were. I just think my team, like, as suspect as it might be defensively, kind of came through. Um, I did review the game at the time and the team. Like I said, I'm always going back over myself, and I think in hindsight, the biggest thing I would say is still the way I pivoted with Milotic. If I had been a little bit faster versus the Globro, I could have tried to bring in the Heracross, um, and use that to force a Decidueye setup opportunity. Because ultimately, he went Tauros on the Milotic. He gave me that opportunity to set up on Banded Close Combat. But I might have been able to force it with Heracross if I had like Earthquaked or like Facaded, let Glowbro kill me, and then Swords Dance with Decidueye, assuming he'll pivot out and save the Glowbro, because it would still be useful. Like, that's a potential scenario I can imagine. Otherwise, I think I kind of covered the big stuff. On to the next one, I suppose. Week 2. This game came down a lot closer. This is also the first week with drops. I'm using the Raikou. Raiku's cool. I do kind of wish it stayed. I want to mess around with it. Might not be healthy, but I'm looking forward to the suspect test. I think they'll be very fun. I really want to get to resuspect it. I thought Terra Ghost Shadow Ball could be really cool as just like the neutral Calm Minder that can sort of muscle its way through. Maybe struggles with like Spadef, Clear Smog, Gastrodon, but aside from that, it does a lot. And it can pop a Decidueye, which I was feeling like pretty scared of given the rest of my team. Offensive Decidueye, not so fun. But I really, really wanted to run Volturn with Raikou. It was him, it was Scarf Zoroark to just be like confusing Volturn, and then it was Hoopa's the Abuser. Because Hoopa has so much goddamn Spadef that I don't know, it's like such a weird one. It has so much Spadef that it also functions as like a really good natural Raikou check. It's like, here's a strong breaker. But Raikou can kind of struggle to revenge it. Decidueye is the other one, and both of them get popped by Shadow Ball, but I hadn't seen anyone aside from me running Shadow Balls, so I was like, seems kind of cool. I like Hoopa, why not? And then the rest kind of came together. I did, based on this core, really need removal, and fitting removal like on the last 3 was kind of hard, so I ended up going with is Muds to just blanket all the physical stuff. Is Spadef Decidueye with Defog, secondary Inteleon check, Raikou check, whole lot of special things. And the ones it doesn't beat are the ones I'm gonna have to offensively pressure, like Hoopa, like Spec Shadow Ball, Melwetter, or Psyshock, or whatever. Those are the stuff that can be a little bit of a pain. Doesn't cover everything, but put it all together kind of works. And then we got Poliwrath. Again, not the speed. Also not the speed. Also not the speed. No, those are the speed. Yeah. Not the speeds that I was running. I just kind of like dragged it up some amount because I had no idea what would be a believable speed. Beats Inteleon, unless they go Terrago Shadow Ball, pops this and that. I really did not want to face Terrago Shadow Ball Inteleon. I really didn't. Like, that would have been bad. Maybe I could have Terra Wrath. Terra Ground also beat Raikou. I was like, Raikou's scary. This Decidueye might not even work, especially since I'm Special Leaf Storm, which is just better on defensive, get more damage immediately. So Terra Ground can also beat it, because then you still got your Water Absorb. And this set can do a lot of other things. You can make it Ice Punch for one. You could even drop Liquidation for Ice Punch. That's a good move. You can go Earthquake. You can go Bulk Up. You can go Sub and Bulk Up. It can really kind of do whatever you want. Totally team dependent. On this team, I wanted it to annoy Gastrodon. I thought Taunt to stop Recovery would definitely be pretty surprising to it. I wanted it to knock Boots and just generally let more things get chipped by rocks and Volturn stuff. I was like, yeah, this Wrath works for me. Why not? And it worked out. Like, I was thinking it'd be okay, it kind of sucks, but at least it beats Inteleon. No, genuinely pretty good. Like, solid, fine, no problems with it whatsoever. Even when it wasn't just beating Inteleon, always useful. Totally okay, Pokemon. Didn't expect that. But I think it really carried over the lessons from last week as well. I've got a solid plan, like a clear game plan I can work off of. Fast pivots that produce threats and bring in a Hoopa. Sure, why not? Works for me. So I think that basically covers all the interesting stuff. Let's talk about the actual game versus Brawl, though. I see Gastrodon, which obviously you don't want for Raikou, but I think it's fine. Electrode, too, can kind of mess with the tourney thing. If it's foul play, I knew foul play Electrode was a big problem for the team. It's just like, it's so hard to prep for everything, and Decidueye made so much sense, and foul play Electrode would have sucked because grass and electric and dark coverage at 2K is Decidueye. Like, that's just hard, man. But I do see some things that I can go really well with, specifically Hoopa. There are checks. It's not like the most unreasonable Hoopa matchup ever, you know. Scrafty only fears Focus Blast. Gastrodon being Spit F can be annoying. But I do think Hoopa does a lot of good pressure here. And if that's not foul play, it's not really too threatened by these two. Honestly, this third one also. So Hoopa can really kind of get some work off. That's a positive for sure. I'm also gonna have to be very careful with the Scrafty. Anytime you see a Scrafty, act scared. Be very cautious. Be very precise. But it's manageable. You know, this is a manageable matchup, and I go in with the game plan of I think I can pretty solidly bring in a Hoopa like a couple times early game and really try to make it work. In fact, I lead Poliwrath. Just kidding, it's Zoroark. I knew Scarf Zoroark was going to be a big thing to reveal early because they are not always Scarf. And looking at how fast my team is and the potential priority here, you could get away with no Scarf or maybe. But I was also pretty sure that there would be an Electric lead. I was absolutely expecting that. And I wanted the chip early. I didn't want Electrode to be able to pivot in on anything. I didn't want it coming in on my actual Wrath's water moves. I didn't want it coming in on Raikou, especially. I did not want it coming in on like Mudstale for free. Or like if he predicts a heavy slam, I want him to still die. I think the damage is worth it, you know? What I kind of forgot about is that potentially static, like that would have sucked. If I got static there, horrible. Would have been absolutely horrible. So maybe it wasn't worth it overall, but I don't get static. I can't really say. Bringing actually the Decidueye praying he's not foul play and he does just Volt. Thank God. I am allowing Salazzlin, and I do U-turn expecting like a sub, a toxic, or something like that. I didn't think he'd immediately attack. Sub Salazzle, absolutely a pain, but it's just the kind of thing I'm going to have to pivot around, and I'll make it work. Like, I don't think there's much more of a game plan than getting Raikou toxics, which kind of sucks, but I don't have a lot else. Here comes in Wrath, or is it Zoroark? Who knows? I go for knockoff. I want him to think that knockoff means Zoroark. But this is actually Poliwrath. This is just knockoff top Poliwrath. Being annoying and doing what it does best. I go Mudstale, kind of predictable. Maybe too much so. Like Gastrodon on the Mudstale is pretty obvious, but it lets me get my rocks up. I'll gladly take 37 because, like, look at how chipped this Altaria is going to be now. Look at how annoyed it's going to be. It's got no boots. What's it doing? And with Hoopa, my game plan is to trick. Because now I can just nail Scrafty with Focus Blast whenever I want. I did not necessarily expect Crop Barrage to come in. I was like, maybe he'll go Scrafty immediately. More likely, I kind of thought Gastrodon would stay in and just sort of scout. You can recover on a Psyshock. You wouldn't want to get Nasty Plotted, but like if Crop Barrage switches into Nasty Plot, it's getting owned by Focus Blast unless you Terra. So like, maybe Gastro would just stay in, but no, he goes Crop Barrage. I'll trick at the specs. That's honestly fine because I need to keep Mudstale around for Scrafty. And now that specs, I don't really have to I don't have to go Mudstale on this. So that's nice. Poliwrath comes in, don't care about lefties getting knocked. If I were him, I would have taken Rocks. Maybe it's Rocks Gastron, I kind of forget. And this is just Wrath doing what it does best. Like, it has the bulk to take a Brave Bird from Altaria, so I'm just going to keep him low. I'm just gonna keep just being really annoying with that Wrath. And this Hoopa double is predicting something. If he Brave Bird, I could have taken it, but I was like, he's probably going something Hoopa can beat. And I'll drop a focus. Why not? There's still a Scrafty there. He goes Gastron, no problem. Like, look at how much that's doing. I can just kind of spam. I can just spam, spam, spam. Gastron can't win here, so I'm just going to keep chipping. Maybe I could have made some predictions, but like I'm getting where I want. I'm slowly getting there. Good double from Geraldo. Very obvious Polyrath. I'm just going to have to let Raikou take a little bit of chip. Still manageable. And I was still afraid of foul play. I was like, what if he foul plays me? Don't want Decidueye getting foul played. Can't take it. But look, Polyrath gets to come back in. Cool. I do give up a spike, but like Polyrath is genuinely just 1v1 in Altaria since I had Rocks up. That's great. And then he goes Scrafty on. Oh god, I forgot that was actually Zoroark. I completely forgot watching the replay back. Yeah. I go Zoroark trying to bluff Polyrath. I want him to think. Yeah, and then when I knock off, I want him to think I'm Polyrath, and I want him to go Electrode, but he does go Scrafty, realizing that I'm Zoroark, I guess. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. I was trying to bluff that. I'll go actual Poliwrath on Scrafty. I still have Mudsdale, but if I don't chip this, basically all I'm going to be able to do is roar him out, and then he'll have to do it later. Poliwrath actually gets chip on, and then once he's weakened, I can do some Mudsdale, whatever. So I got a taunt. Can't let him bulk up more. He predicts that, though, which is nice. And this is the one case where leftovers would have been nice. And he's going to use up the Terra Poison just to stop Wrath from getting any damage. And I don't know, like I get it, I do, but it makes Mudsdale a lot nicer because no longer do I have to roar. I can just go for killing him, and the less switches he has, the less sacks he has, the better. So like obviously I can roar him, and then now he's like not a Hoopa switch in or anything, but I'm going for blood. I genuinely think it's worth it, and if it doesn't work out and he kills me, I'm gonna keep him so low that Hoopa can kill him after. Um, like he does pick up a first turn wake that time. I'm still not dead. And he would need to do it a second time for this to work out at all, and I'm willing to take that risk. I think it's going to benefit me to keep that Scrafty out of here. And fortunately, it does work out. He doesn't get the first turn wake there. If he got a second turn wake, at that point I would just given up and roared, but he didn't. So, fine. Cool. Mudsdale gets a kill, and Salazzle get chipped a little bit, which works for me. Plus, look at how healthy these things are. Nothing is coming into my Zoroark knockoff, which he knows is Zoroark because my actual Raikou's toxic. There's not a lot he can do. So Electro goes. I'm going to Terra Dark just to ensure that I Oko the Salazzle. I actually did not always kill it from 88%. And if he killed my Zoroark there, things could have gotten dicey. If Salazzle killed Zoroark and that was still foul play Electrode, I genuinely could have lost. So I Terra Dark for safety, and also because none of my other Terras really do much here. Do I need to Terra fighting this? No. Do I need to Terra... I forgot what Decidueye is. And then do I need to Terra Ghost Raikou? No. So I figured this is just the safer play. Do not get static paired. Maybe it's soundproof the whole time. Sure. Annoying that Coprage still lives, so I'm going to pivot Raikou because nothing else can even take a hit. And I assumed he would just stay in and kill me. But he ends up going Gastron, which I give special attack to. I guess Volt Switch would have been okay, but then something else would have had to take a Heavy Slam. Fortunately, Decidueye can come in and he recovers. If he Ice Beamed and put me like more in range of Salazzle, could have been bad. And then this, I distinctly remember, this is the biggest choke of the game. Look at this scenario right here. If he goes Salazzle, I can U-turn into Hoopa, hit Psyshock, and if he goes Copperajah, I'm pretty sure he dies a Shadow Ball after. Or if he goes Salazzle, I can just go Zoroark and knock off something. Not sure if it would 2KO every Gastrodon spread, so maybe he'd be able to come in, but still. And if he stays in, if he stays in, I U-turn one of those two. If he switches to Salazzle, no, that was if he switches to Salazzle. I don't remember what I'm talking about, guys. I'm a professional, okay? Point is, U-turn is safe, right? Either I U-turn on Gastrodon, I get to bring in Hoopa, or I U-turn on Salazzle, I get to bring in Hoopa or Zoroark. There's literally no reason to Leaf Storm. I'm totally safe. I have no problems here. And because I Leaf Storm and I let in the Salazzle, this game gets way closer. Because I've essentially given up my 4-3 advantage. Like, he is gonna be able to force a kill. I can't do anything about that. Sub is free. Basically, all I can do is go Hoopa. Actually, I don't believe he 2KOs me here, but the effect is still the same. Where like my advantage is too diluted because everything has to get even more checked. Yeah, he goes for Toxic here, and then he protects, and then he subs, and then he protects, and then he subs, and all I can do is weaken this and let Hoopa go down. Or no, I let Raikou go down because Hoopa is technically more useful. Even at 27%, like, it can actually hurt Gastrodon. So I'll sack Raikou instead, even though it lets him get another protect. I didn't think the extra 6% was really going to matter. Yeah, just nothing I can do there. And I should have been able to. I should not have let that scenario happen. So, gonna go Zoroark again. I really hope it 2KOs whatever Gastron he has. Apparently it does because he goes Capraja. I just wasn't 100% on that actually working. So, now Gastro comes in. I'm gonna go Hoopa just in case he doubles Salazzle. Turns out he just wanted to Ice Beam the Decidueye. Now I'm going to go Decidueye, and at this point I have it all calced out to where unless he gets a double protect, I should be fine to just Leaf Storm and safely slow U-turn and be able to go into like everything I need. I was pretty sure that I had all the turns worked out, and this was safe, and this was fine. I was reasonably sure, right? So I can go Zoroark, and after another protect, like, unless I got awful rolls, I didn't even think I could roll low enough. He was going to die to rocks. So he had to get a double protect here, even just to live again. And at that point, he wasn't going to switch into Decidueye's Leaf Storm. So I was pretty sure I was okay. But after that, I'm just going to let him kill my Decidueye. Kill my Zoroark. Go Decidueye, and everything should be safe. Ice Beam wouldn't even kill here, so he'd have to, like, dodge and freeze or crit. And that's the ballgame. I think the team really worked out. I do think Beraldo played this effectively. I just kind of think the matchup here was enough in my favor to really make this work. Um, and it would have been even less close if I hadn't done that stupid Leaf Storm on turn 4. You just completely free U-turn. But from this, I definitely took away, like, keep up the momentum, don't take things for granted. And 2 weeks in a row with weird Decidueye sets, just keep bringing stuff that kind of messes with people because I don't necessarily think he was expecting Spadef going into this. That might have helped influence his plays. And assuming you guys aren't bored yet, I got one more to go over. That would be week 3, which just happened earlier today versus Sufis. I brought Hyper Offense. I have not brought Hyper Offense to a major PU Tour game like at all since DLC 2. I fought him in Ladder Tour round 3. I didn't use Hyper Offense all Ladder Tour. He beat me then. Didn't use Hyper Offense. Haven't used in PUPL, haven't used in anything else I know. So I thought this would be a good way to mix things up. And most of it's pretty basic. Basic Avalugg, basic Arcanine, Inteleon, Skuntank, Decidueye, and then I got a normal gem Minior, which I genuinely really like, and I do not mind showing off this. Oh, I did show I was normal gem Explosion in the game. This is why. That's Ninior. Here's Minior. Now let's assume I'm still in Meteor form, because they intentionally do not hit me to trigger the transformation, right? I Shell Smash, but I'm still not too fast. Like, Scarfers are still gonna be able to beat that. I'm still not too strong, only 60 attack. Let's say he knows I'm Shell Smashing, and he goes to, I don't know, Milotic. He's got a physically defensive Milotic, right? That's not unreasonable. Because as long as you don't trigger the Meteor form, Scald is gonna do a lot. Haze obviously is gonna break my boosts. Could be a problem. But then we factor in Explosion and Normal Gem, and that just dies. And as you can see, I would kind of like Milotic to just die. That'd be kind of nice. Same goes for, Gastrodon if it's clear smog, physically defensive, which is definitely a thing. Not as common, wasn't really expecting it. But clear smog, physically defensive, nope. Mudsdale does live a hit, but at that point it's going to be too weak to check, Arcanine, Skuntank, whatever it is. And Mudsdale has probably taken a knock from Skunk earlier. So, in conclusion, funny set. Funny set. The only physically defensive thing you're not really going to boom on is Houndstone, for obvious reasons. And even then, I need damage on Houndstone with this team. I need to kind of chip it a bit. And the +2 Stone Edge, because it does not activate Fluffy, right? This is the chip that I need. Worst case scenario, he wisps and then rests. And just by making him asleep, assuming I can keep him out, really helps to have him asleep versus last Monarch and I'm trying to win. Really, really helps. So, yeah, that's the Minior. That's why it was like that. The rest, I think, is pretty basic. Nothing special to talk about here. Just kind of hyper offense, as far as I know. Um, Unfortunately, I really did not play the start of this game well. Totally on me. All I need to do is set rocks and die. That's it. Set rocks and die. I'm not Earthquake, so I'm just gonna spam some Mountain Gale, set rocks, and die. And then I see his plan is to Toxic Stall me. He's not trying to Volt Switch into Inteleon and then kill me with my Sturdy broken, which is what I was expecting when he led Belly Bolt. I would have just started Decidueye right off if he'd done that. Would have been fine with me. But I go, oh, he's just trying to slack off. Maybe I'll be smart. Maybe I'll be clever. Surely he'll never expect me to pivot into Decidueye at some point instead of dying to Toxic. No, of course he will, you massive idiot. That's so predictable. Of course he Volt Switches. Which, by the way, if I had Mountain Galed there, I already had, all the damage on Belly Bolt I could ever want. That would have been so much better. Free Volt to Bombardier. I go, well, poop. But I still think his rocker is Sand Slash, so at least I can just sack Avalugg. But no, he also gets rocks here, which is bad. This team the reason I'm running Avalugg as the lead is because I don't want this to happen, because once he has rocks, Minior is way less cool. It still smashes on Sand Slash, but not so much on Glowbro or even Bombardier. That sucks. That's just really genuinely awful. He has a solid matchup, as I'm gonna find out in the game. He's kind of got reasonable checks to everything I've got. Not the best matchup, because I've got one thing that kind of goes ham, but solid. And I just really screw up there, and I think I was trying to be too clever, keep too much around, and the lesson I'm taking away, at least only a couple hours after, it's okay to stick to a game plan. It's okay to start down there, because consequences can be worse. If I was wrong and he just slacked off again and killed me, and I had to switch I had to go on into Belly Bolt, I still could have gone to Decidueye. It would have been fine. Or even Skuntank, actually. It might have been better there. Anyway, no reason to do all this. Absolutely none. Puts me in a bad place. I'm just going to go Inteleon, start forcing. He shows me very early the AV Slowbro. Now this is important. Other Slowbro sets, with Slack Off and stuff, much more annoying for Arcanine. That's not this. I was genuinely worried about some kind of Slack Off, more physically defensive Slowbro. This is really what told me okay, so Arcanine goes in. Potential check of Terra Rock, potential check of Terra Ghost. Check. But all very chippable, and I don't need that much to do work. So from as soon as I see this, my plan is okay, Arcanine has to win the game for me, because this is already just a bad start. I should have double switched here also. Like, either he Terra Waters to live the hit, and I have to take some damage, which Decidueye can probably handle, or he's going for Izion. Uh, like, one of those things is obviously going to happen. I should just double, but I Hydro into the Virizion. It's not so bad because he does Synthesis, which makes sense. You do want this healthy, but whatever. I'm just trying to get chip on Bombardier. I figured between this and Helmet Skuntank, I could just get damage off on this, but he makes a very um, effective play with just like knock off, not be too worried, and just go Sand Slash. Like, he's not really worried about any of the things I'm doing right now. And at this point, he can either spike or he can spin. There's not a lot I can do. I'm like, I'll go Miniorc. He's probably doing one of those things, and it makes a really good double because obviously Minior is coming in. I don't want to get Earthquaked, and Minior literally loses to everything else now with Rocks up. It's such a frail, hard to get working on. Jesus. So he's just gonna go Belly Bolt. And I thought for like a while, I used a lot of timer, and I realized Minior is never getting into doing it to do anything else after this. It's just not. Oh, geez, I'm running, I should be running even HP, so I could switch into Rock Skin, activate my form, and I wouldn't be faster than these guys, because I'm adamant anyway, so I guess that wouldn't really matter. Anyway, Minior is never coming in again. It's not doing anything useful. But damage on Belly Bolt genuinely is. Really helps Decidueye, Arcanine, and Skuntank just do a bit more here. So I'm gonna boom. I'm gonna force that Belly Bolt to be down at half, because nobody ever slack offs there. And let's go Inteleon. And he chooses Sandslash to sack. I think that's fair. Sandslash wasn't really beating any of these guys except Skunk at this point, and Skunk he's kind of like okay versus. He does get a free Virizion though. I'm gonna have to sack Skunk after SD. There's really nothing I can do. I was afraid if I sucker punched, something could go wrong. I really was. That ends up maybe being a mistake, because at this point I have to go Inteleon. I know Ice Beam doesn't kill, and my biggest hope is that he doesn't Terra Rock here. If he Terra Rocks, I gotta go Decidueye and then Arcanine, and Arcanine on its own after that is not cleaning this team up like this. No, siree. But he doesn't Terra Rock. I go for the Ice Beam, and he lives with 18%. 18%. Like, I was just afraid he'd do some kind of utility move or something. I don't know. But realistically, what should I have been afraid of? I don't know. Maybe if I'd suckered, he then would have, like, Terra Rocked here, and then things would have been worse. But even then, he'd be, like, lower on health. Maybe Terra Ghost Shadow Snake would have killed. I'm not going to calculate that out. Anyway, I know he's justified and I would give him an attack boost, but he kills everything anyway. I really should have sucker punched. Just puts me in a worse scenario than what I had to be in. And at this point, I'm pretty sure I've lost. Like, realistically, I should have lost. The good news is, if he kills me with Bombardier, unless his last move is Taunt, which would be crazy on this set, like no Brave Bird, no U-turn, no Roost, Taunt, really? He can't revenge me with Bombardier, because that actually is free cursing for Arcanine. So he's got to go and tell you. He's gonna need to Terra Water to kill me, otherwise he doesn't kill me. Ice Beam, that's also free curse with Arcanine. This is the only way he stops any cursing. So that gives me a chance to dodge Hydro Pump. And it burns his Terra, so he can't use it against me with one of these guys later. And it shows me he's not Terra Ghost. So that's something. Although Terra Ghost also couldn't work, because then I'd Terra with Arcanine Curse. So that's a bit of a positive, but still, at this point, I should have lost. This is really my only chance here. Because the Belly Bolt is weakened, he needs to slack first. And at this point, Flare Blitz actually just 2 KOs, because Arcanine is very, very strong. I Terra Normal just in case he decides to muddy water. There's no point in saving Terra anyway, so I might as well try. And Flare Blitz is going to break through him. Unfortunately, E-Speed did not. If it did, I wouldn't be so low. But we get here, and then he goes Bombardier. And this is the only reason I win. He said afterwards he clicked too fast. I definitely took away from this, like, never give up and always be safe. Because, like, Slowbro's just always the play here. He goes Slowbro now. If he had gone Slowbro and switched out to Bombardier, he would have been healthy enough to live a hit. Now, as is, Arcanine's Flare Blitz at +1 versus your standard Assault Vest Slow. Your standard Assault Vest Slowbro would have killed him, right? You can't expect Slowbro to live. You have to go Slowbro, pivot Bombardier, and then come back in. And that does maybe leave some 50-50 chances, because what if I Morning Sun on the Bombardier switch? Then I E-Speed? Realistically, Toxic is racking up so fast, and he's doing like 30% to me with a hit. Not Earthquake, obviously. I'm Terran and defense boosted. So, like, I don't think that would have worked. I haven't run all the calcs. If he had gone Slowbro, I would have Morning Sunned. I was expecting that to happen. I was like, I'm going to Morning Sun on the Bombardier switch, and I'm just going to hope to God that I win. But he goes Bombardier first, then tries to go Slowbro to just like Toxic stall me more. But at this point, it's just not going to work. And if I had killed him, if I'd killed Bombardier with E-Speed, I could just blitz the Slowbro after. So I barely make it through. I don't know that I deserved this one. Arcanine probably did not win, even if I'd Morning Sunned on the switch to Bombardier. Probably. I'm not going to run the calcs. But it really pulls through. And until this game, I'd kind of forgotten just how stupid Arcanine can be sometimes. Sometimes it's just kind of stupid. Sometimes Mon's just a little bit crazy, you know? After one boost, it 2-KOs Belly Bolt. It has priority for everything. It's a little bit silly. So, I hope for those of you working on your PU or just Pokemon in general, this was just like an interesting look into building. My teams are definitely weird. They definitely have defensive weaknesses. I know I talked a lot more about like offensive coherence and stuff than actual like working together defensively. But maybe this will give you some ideas. Like run Decidueye in every team. I don't know why I ended up using 3 different Decidueyes. Anyway, I genuinely enjoyed this. I really like looking over my games. I'd recommend it for anyone. I hope you did as well. And I will probably do this again after 3 more weeks. So we'll see.